How can innovation survive in a time of crisis? Joining us now to discuss is Jim McKelvey. He's the author of The Innovation Stack, Building an Unbeatable Business, one crazy idea at a time. And he's also the co-founder of Square. Welcome.
Thank you, Jen.
So, you know what's happening in the markets.
Yeah, well, I mean, nobody knows what's happening. I see what's being reported.
Yes, I guess, and that's part of it. There's so much uncertainty out there. And I'm curious, as an entrepreneur, and that's what you're writing about in here, what happens now? Because we're seeing the economy as a whole, as we know it, changing. Does it change for people that are in the disruption business?
Yes. So the advantage of being in the disruption business is that you are used to, or more used to, situations like this where nobody knows what's happening. So what I talk about in the book is entrepreneurship in the old school definition, where entrepreneurs are doing things that have never been done before. And in that case, there's no certainty. There's no map of the territory. And so a situation like this, look, I'm as unsettled as what just happened or what is happening as everybody else. But I am actually more familiar with being in this position because sometimes I voluntarily put myself and my companies in this position. Yeah.
You know, Jim, we hear a lot from companies that are new, that are starting out, that have maybe even got their footing. You know, companies much younger than Square. They're not public yet, but they're like, but things are going okay. And we often hear from their founders and their leadership that they're recession-proof, or that they operate outside of the economic model. And it seems, we were talking earlier in the show about, you look at the stock price of the 2019 IPO class, you look at the pressures that some of the companies that haven't come public yet are. Is there really any world in which these new tech companies can operate outside of those paradigms? Because it seems like it was such an accepted wisdom, really, in Silicon Valley in the last 5 years.
And gravity doesn't apply to us.
And it feels like now we're finding out that actually that was never true.
Gravity happens, okay? And you may have some sort of quirk of fate that temporarily relieves you from the responsibilities that we all have. But no, everything falls back to earth. But I think the real issue with tech companies is that sometimes they build these engines that are so powerful and so dominant that they can run for years with all sorts of things against them, incompetent management and, crazy mistakes and just bad behavior, and that, networking and effects can hide that. And as a matter of fact, in the book, when I studied this, so I saw this phenomenon at Square, and it created this tremendous power. And I was like, wow, I need to study this power. So what I specifically did was I started looking at non-tech companies as parallels. And what I found a perfect parallel for Square 100 years earlier.
For Square?
For Square.
A company now?
Yeah,
what's the parallel for Square? What was going on 100 years ago?
So this was a financial tech company that dominated its industry and was founded by people or a person who knew nothing about the industry. So
fintech company?
Fintech. A financial company.
Okay, in 1920.
Yeah. So it turns out the biggest bank in the world was founded by a boy who dropped out of school at age 15 and was a produce vendor. And he changed what you now think of as banking. So what you think of now as a bank was invented by a guy named A.P. Giannini. And most people haven't heard of him, but it was such an epic tale that that's a book that looks like a business book, but what I originally wrote looked like this. So this was when I was telling these stories originally, it was a graphic novel.
Oh, wow.
And this is the story of the birth of banking. And, it's a comic. I mean, there's an evil gang, here's a murder, okay? And then, it's like a comic book.
You really did a comic book of APG. I know who APG Giannini is because I'm from San Francisco.
See? Some people know.
Which brings us back to Square, which is out there as well. You know Jack Dorsey.
I've known him for over 20 years, yeah.
He's a very busy man. Do you know that he has two jobs?
He has two jobs, but no wife.
No, okay.
So, he gets some of that time back, No.
I'm married. I understand what you're talking about.
Would you trade your husband to run a public company on the side?
No.
Don't answer that question.
No. I shouldn't. I won't even joke. I was going to say something depends about which company. So Square. Jack Dorsey's there. He's also at Twitter.
Yes.
He's got two really important jobs.
Yes, he
does.
You
know this man very well.
Yes.
We've had some activists coming in saying you can't run two companies at once. Jack Dorsey, can he do it all?
So they kicked Jack out of Twitter twice before, and it didn't work. So he's back for the third time. Leave him there. He's doing a good job. Like, Twitter's a really tough company to run because it's unique. And Jack has a very good DNA for unique situations. I mean, Square was the same thing. We were doing stuff that nobody else had done before, and so we had to invent all these different things. And that became our innovation stack, and that's what allowed us to thrive. And Jack's good at this stuff. So leave him at the helm. And, look, he's doing, I think, as well as anyone can be doing in such an uncertain, tumultuous environment.
Yeah.
He's also got a connection to the Fed.
I was going to say, I mean...
Oh, yeah, you want to rip on me?
You'll
let's hear it. Yes, I'm on the Fed.
No, okay. We're not here to rip the Fed.
Go for it.
Bob's a Fed lover.
It's a momentous time.
10%.
It's a momentous time to be involved with anything related to the economy, let alone be a member of the St. Louis Fed board. So when you think about where the Fed sits in this conversation right now with respect to what happens in the economy.
Sitting. We are standing. We are running. We are doing. No, look.
What are those conversations like right now?
They're super interesting. And what I can say about the Fed is you have this apolitical entity, which is so important. So the Fed is not Democrat, it's not Republican, it doesn't have a political leaning. Its mission is to ensure maximum employment and price stability. And those missions it's trying to fulfill. And it's got really, really smart people who are looking at the data just as we are. They're trying to make sense. We've got some blunt tools. We've got some monetary policy. We've also had the ability to communicate. And the ability to communicate has a power that the Fed has just sort of figured out in the last decade.
Yeah.
And look, it's a crazy time, and we're trying to do what we can. But there's some mathematical bounds. You can't take some rates below zero, and there's some physical issues that we have. But we have the smartest, most competent people that I've ever met working on this without sort of a personal agenda. It is such an honor to even be in the room with these people, and I usually just sit there and listen.
So you're in St. Louis.
Yeah.
We're around there. We're on a coast here in New York.
Yes.
Coronavirus, though, it seems like what we're hearing, this could go everywhere. And the people that are going to be hurt the most might be at the bottom of the pyramid, your gig workers, people that are at restaurants.
Sure.
It's not people that are dealing with liquidity issues in markets.
No, I mean, if you're worried about, if you think the impact of the coronavirus is a 10% correction in the Dow, that ain't the impact.
Yeah.
It's somebody who is literally living paycheck to paycheck and has meager credit and has basically been excluded from the system. And those people fall off the edge really fast. And we work with a lot of them at Square. We've given a lot of them economic empowerment. Giannini, when he built the Bank of America, the biggest bank in the world was built for as Giannini would say, the little fellow, for those people. And those are the people I'm most concerned about. I guess I care about stocks a little bit, but I deeply care about the people I work with. In my art studio, who are going to lose their jobs.
Square readers on their phone.
Yeah, I mean, the guys we built Square for are the folks who are likely going to face disruption, but also they're going to have probably an increase in total population, because believe me, a lot of these people who've been getting regular paychecks, that may be disruptive. And if that happens, there will be a lot more people in that sort of lower rung.
Square co-founder Jim McKelvey, he's the author of the new book, The Innovation Stack, Building an Unbeatable Business, One Crazy Idea at a Time. Really great to talk with you, especially on today, I would say, because you bring some energy and a different perspective, and you touch so many different areas. So I hope that we'll get to talk with you again when we aren't seeing the worst sell-off since 1987.
Well, the worst sell-off happened on my birthday in 1887.
There you go.
Oh, really?
It's like coming home.
So we did a little better 33 years later. All right, Jim, thanks so much for coming by.
Hey, investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.